Direct News TV. November 21, 2023. Israel-Hamas War Live, Israeli government approves Gaza truce deal. Israel's government approves Qatar-mediated deal for a 4-day truce in Gaza and release of some of the captives held in the enclave. PM Netanyahu says agreement does not mean war will stop, vows Israeli military will press on after the pause in fighting. Who is Ben-Gvir, the Israeli minister who voted no to the truce? Just 3 of the 38 members of the Israeli cabinet voted against the truce deal. All 3 are ministers from Jewish Power, Otzma Yehudit, a far-right political party in Israel headed by National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. A settler in Kiryat Arba, one of the most radical settlements in the occupied West Bank, Ben-Gvir has a long history of incitement against Palestinians. He has been convicted of incitement to racism, destroying property, possessing a terror organization's propaganda material, supporting a terror organization, Meir Kahane's outlawed catch group, which he joined when he was 16. Deal includes visits by Red Cross to captives, report. Israeli news outlet Haaretz has reported that the agreement includes visits by the Red Cross to the captives who have not yet been released, as well as a supply of medicine. Haaretz also said that 6 hospitals in Israel are ready to receive the released captives. Pause in fighting will be welcomed in Gaza, analyst. Speaking before Israel approved the Gaza deal, Al Jazeera's senior political analyst, Marwan Bishara, said the agreement, though temporary, would bring relief on multiple levels. I'm sure, the pause in fighting, will be a kind of relief for many, whether they are patients in hospitals or whether they are children at home who just want to have one night of sleep without bombings, Bishara said. And clearly the release of Palestinian prisoners held captive basically in Israeli prisons for so many years, that's also welcomed. And I think the idea of getting those trucks of medicine and fuel, that's also welcome, because the idea of starving a population is absolutely the definition of a genocide. Bishara said, however, that Israel has already made it clear that it would resume its offensive in Gaza after the temporary truce expires. When you listen to the Israeli officials, it seems like this is just a bit of an exception, a bit of a glitch. As soon as it's over, they will resume their war. Latest UN report on Gaza highlights Israeli attacks on hospitals, health workers. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has released its latest report on the desperate situation in Gaza. 4 doctors were killed and patients injured, and Al-Adha Hospital in North Gaza came under Israeli attack on Tuesday. Separately, a WHO staff member was killed alongside her 6-month-old baby, husband and 2 brothers when Israeli forces bombed her parents' home in Gaza City. The WHO has now documented 178 attacks by Israeli forces on health centers in the Gaza Strip that resulted in 22 deaths and 48 injuries among on-duty healthcare workers. Israeli tanks have surrounded and are besieging the Indonesian hospital in Gaza, where some 500 patients and staff were evacuated on Tuesday to a hospital in southern Khan Yunis. The evacuation followed an Israeli attack that killed at least 12 at the Indonesia-funded health facility. Only 2 small hospitals in the north of the Palestinian enclave, one in Gaza City and another in Beit Lahia, are still partially operational, with the remaining 22 hospitals in the northern part of the Gaza Strip no longer functional. In the 24 hours between Monday and Tuesday evening, 2 more Israeli soldiers were reported killed in Gaza, bringing the total number of Israeli forces killed so far in the Gaza ground war to 73. Hamas releases more details on Gaza truce agreement. The Palestinian group confirmed that the temporary ceasefire from both sides would last 4 days. In a statement shared on Telegram, Hamas said this means that during this period, Israel will stop military actions in all areas of the Gaza Strip, including movement of military vehicles. Hundreds of humanitarian aid trucks, including medical and fuel supplies, will be allowed into Gaza. Drones in southern Gaza will stop for 4 days. They will stop in the north for 6 hours per day, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. local time. During the truce period, Israel is committed not to attack or arrest anyone in all areas of the Gaza Strip. Freedom of movement will be guaranteed along Salah al-Din Street. Full Israeli government statement on Gaza deal. The government of Israel is obligated to return home all of the hostages. Tonight, the government has approved the outline of the first stage of achieving this goal, according to which at least 50 hostages, women and children, will be released over 4 days, during which a pause in the fighting will be held. The release of every additional 10 hostages will result in 1 additional day in the pause. The government of Israel, the Israeli army, and the security services will continue the war in order to return home all of the hostages, complete the elimination of Hamas and ensure that there will be no new threat to the state of Israel from Gaza. Israel's approval of Gaza deal comes amid continued pressure on Netanyahu. The Israeli government's approval of the temporary Gaza truce deal comes as Netanyahu has faced weeks of pressure from the Israeli public, most notably the families of captives held in the bombarded enclave. Netanyahu said ahead of the vote, announced shortly after 3 a.m. local time in Israel, 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, that he spent last night meeting with some of those families. He told them that returning their loved ones was a sacred and supreme task, Netanyahu said. But the Israeli Prime Minister has also been clear that he has no intention of ending Israel's war on Gaza. Let me make it clear, he said earlier, we are at war, and will continue the war. He said Israel will not stop until it achieves its goals, which are eliminating Hamas, returning all of our hostages and assuring that Gaza will no longer threaten Israel. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.